Well, following on from today's feature, we went out and asked university students here in the capital if they think Chinese culture can compete with American culture. Here's today's Straight from the Street.
Currently, the influence of Chinese culture in the world is far behind that of the U.S. culture. That's because China's economic development is far behind America's.
Chinese culture has a history of 5,000 years. U.S. culture has existed for less than 300 years. But U.S. culture is the most influential culture in the world at the moment, whether that's Hollywood's entertainment culture, the country's economic culture, or their world view. But I think the economic crisis will change that. I think Chinese culture will eventually become more influential.
If I was rating the influence of culture, I'd give American culture 100 points and Chinese culture 70. Although China is growing, the U.S. is still the strongest and the most influential power in the world.
I
think at the moment Chinese culture is not as influential as U.S. culture, but it is growing. Culture is a soft power, but its development depends on hard power. China started to modernize much later than the U.S., but as China grows, it's hard to tell whether U.S. culture will be able to keep its present status in the future.
Well, time now for the question of the day. Today it comes from Beth in Manhattan. She asked, is it true that you have to take an AIDS test before coming to China? Mark?
Well, there's different restrictions for different people. If you're a tourist, you don't need to take any kind of medical check, although you do get checked for temperature as you enter the country. If you need a working visa, you do have to go for a blood test, and they test for various things, of which HIV is one. If you're a student here for up to 6 months, a period of 6 months, you don't need to take the medical check. Any longer than 6 months, you do need to take the medical check, which, as we said, includes that blood test. Right. So there you go, Beth. I hope that answers your question. Remember, every day we answer your questions about life here in China. You can send those questions to news@bonlive.com. That's it for me for now.
But do stay with us. Coming up in just a moment, I'll have Media Watch, a roundup of all the stories making news in the Chinese media.